Everybody, and welcome to another stretching and balancing episode of Phil and the Mic. I, as always, am your host, Darrin Michael, and with me, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Phil Calise. Phil, how you doing today, man? I can't believe you don't have anything going on. You have no place to go, no events that you're refereeing. What's going on, man? You just taking a few days off?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I figured you'd have me down in South Beach for the big game today, but it's nice to know I got a little reprieve on that trip, and that's nice. So I appreciate it.
I heard, I heard that you have to help your dad, so you can't go out of town for the next few days. That's really nice of you.
Hey, man, it's always nice to lend a helping hand, father, son.
You are a helper. You are a helper, which is exciting. I got 3 stories for you.
I want to hear all of them.
I got 3 stories for you, and I think they're going to get more exciting as the stories go on. So the first story, this whole COVID thing, man, it's still, I go into the supermarket, it's about 50-50 mask versus not mask. But I did see something that I haven't seen in a long time, and that is I saw a guy wearing gloves. And that's fine. You want to wear gloves, no problem. But then the guy's on his phone. Then the guy takes his wallet out, right? And then I happen to be checking out at the same time. Then he goes out to his car. He gets into his car. He starts his car. He puts his hands on the steering wheel with his gloves on. I so wanted to say something. My man, do you know what transference is? If you get germs on your gloves, all you're doing is spreading them everywhere else. So what's the point? Anyway, I just thought I would. That was my
That's little sidebar. That's a sidebar rant I've had for 20 months.
That was my mini rant for the day. That's right.
By the way, while you're doing this, I'm going to represent all the teams I root for.
That's it, just 2? Oh, there you go. There you go. Now we can see them. Okay. All right. That's a much better look. You need to bend the brim of the hat, man.
I'm a generation younger than you. We don't bend our brims.
Yeah, man. I'm not into that. So number 2, Trish and I went out for dinner last night, and then Aubrey I had an appointment at 7:45. Aubrey had to have Chipotle, so we had to go to Chipotle. I stand in line for like 20 minutes. Then right before I'm going to pay, the computers go down. So now I have to go on the app and I have to pay it. It's just a whole big nightmare thing. Anyway, get in my car. I go to my appointment, which I'm 15 minutes late for. I get out of the car and I call Trish and I go, "Have you seen my wallet? I don't have my wallet on me."
That's always a scary feeling.
Right. And I've never, I don't know if you ever lost your wallet before. I've never lost my wallet. And so I'm looking around my car, and Trisha's looking around her car. She's at home. Turns out it somehow fell out of my pocket as I was getting in the car. I went back, drove all the way back an hour and 45 minutes later to Chipotle, and it was actually on the ground where it had fallen out. Thankfully, nobody took it. I couldn't even believe it. Talking about luck, I should play the lottery. And then so getting back to the most important part of the story, I was selected as the Club Pilates Member of the Week. And thus, I got to be interviewed, and I'm going to be on the Facebook and LinkedIn page of the local Club Pilates. Now, I can see from the look on your face that you are super impressed and excited for me, and I appreciate that.
Anything that you put your mind to, I have the utmost confidence you will strive for nothing but greatness. And you've clearly reached that at the old Pilates place. So it started out as awkward encounters with certain individuals there has now turned into stardom for you. So
that's exactly right. So I am excited. I can't wait to post it all over our page, because I know people are definitely going to want to see it. And I'll send the link to everybody. Maybe I'll even put the link somehow up on our YouTube channel so that everybody can really, really enjoy that. I heard it was well done. It was concise. I sounded educated for a change. So we'll see, man, but I will definitely send it to you and get you and all of our exciters really excited about everything.
That's awesome. And while you were doing that story, it brought to my mind a story from a long time ago. You said, "Have you ever lost your wallet?"
Yeah.
I have only lost my wallet one time, but it is a extraordinarily memorable time. So let me take you back, Darrin. Let me take our viewers back. We're going to go back to June. Let's call it 19th. I can almost give you the exact day. 2006.
Oh, wow.
Why does this particular date stand out to me, you ask?
I was about to.
Okay, great.
Even though you're not sure of the date.
Well, I'll tell you why. It was on our honeymoon.
Okay.
So we got married June 16th. We took we went on a cruise to Bermuda. And so it was a couple of days. It took a couple of days to get to Bermuda, or whatever, on the cruise ship. And I lost it the first day there. So I am a whole 24 years old. And we decide we're going to one of the local beaches that, is famous for the pink sand beaches in Bermuda, whatever one that is. Horseshoe. Yep. I don't remember the name of it. Maybe Horseshoe Bay stands out in my head.
Yep.
And I get on there was many ways to get to this beach. For whatever reason, my wife and I decide to be local, be like the locals, and we get on the local bus. Now, in Bermuda, I look ridiculous, by the way. In Bermuda, they have it's very clean there, very clean. At least 15 years ago it was. And the buses are very clean. I mean, it makes New York City bus transportation look like, a third world country. Super clean, super nice. So I'm on the bus. We're going to the beach, and I get off the bus at the place we're supposed to go. And I go like one of these jobs where you check your pockets. And I go, "You got my wallet?" We're married 3 days. I go, "You have my wallet?" She's like, "No." I go, "Oh my God, I think I left it on the bus."
Oh, geez.
It fell out on the bus. I was in the first row. We were in the first row of the bus on the driver's side, right behind the driver. There's another bus coming the other way. I ask them, I say, "I just lost my wallet on the other bus." The guy calls the other bus. The other bus comes back and drops it off to me.
Stop it.
I had, no exaggeration, $1,200 in it in cash, and my only way to get back on the cruise ship, my ID.
Of course.
And I'm panicking internally as I realize I lost the wallet. Not only did this guy stop his route and come back to drop it off to me, comes out of the bus, hands it to me, almost like he's sorry I lost my wallet. And I try to give him $100 tip, because in my mind, he just saved my life at this point.
Of course.
So I'm trying to give him $100. That's a nice tip. I mean, I had $1,200, so it's a healthy tip.
Sure.
He wouldn't take it. He wouldn't take it. He's like, no way. Least I could do is bring it back to you.
Wow.
Amazing people in Bermuda. Shout out to the Bermudans. Shout out to 15 years ago's trip.
Isn't it Bohemians? I'm just saying.
Is it?
I think that's what Bermuda.
Why would Bermuda people be called
Bahamians?
No, that's Bahamas.
No.
Well, that sounds more like
Bermuda. Whatever.
I think they're Bermudans.
The fact of the matter is, I don't believe you. I think that this story took place in New York City.
No.
Not a chance.
If it took place in New York City, they might have given me back my ID, threw it at me, and kept everything else.
They wouldn't have turned around. They would have thrown it out the window. That's it.
Oh no, they wouldn't have turned around. I would have had to find wherever this bus parked 10 hours later.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't be there. It'd be gone. It'd be gone. Anyway, that's
good
pretty
stuff.
Funny. No, it's good stuff. There's some good people out there. I would have kept the wallet myself, but that's okay. All right, so let's get into a little fill up your bank account, man. You went 3-2 last week. Your lock once again 1-0. So you are 19, 12, and 1 on the season, and I believe 8-2 on your locks.
Damn, Skippy.
That's pretty strong. Man. And you attribute it all to my influence. So I appreciate that. That means a lot to me.
80%. You come ride with Uncle Philly, Dr. Philly, whatever name you want to give me. You get 80% winners on your locks. Almost think we're getting to the point with this show where it should just be a betting podcast. Because when you start putting up 80 percentile locks, I think the big boys in Vegas should start to maybe dial us up.
Well,
Want to bring us into the fold?
Maybe we'll
Maybe we
have
start
to do
doing the
that.
podcast from the Wynn or the Encore or Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, we should fly out to Vegas every week and do the podcast live. Yeah, I like
Let
that.
them know when their spreads are out of whack.
We can have all the bells in the background. I think that'd be a nice touch. All right, let's get into it, man. I look forward to your picks. How many picks are you doing this week anyway? You gonna do another 5?
I'm dabbling. I'm still crunching numbers. As you get better and better at this, you get a little more nervous. You feel like, we got a lot of viewers.
Listen, there's a lot of pressure here. There's a lot of pressure here.
There's several dozen people that watch our YouTube channel
on a good day.
Several dozen. Okay, so that's a lot of people I could impact lives.
Well,
I could put food in their children's mouth.
I think my mom has like a dozen accounts, so she tries to well, anyway.
We appreciate it.
Let's get into our 5 questions of week 9. Another great week. I'm going to start off asking you about the Chiefs. In their last 3 games, they've lost to Tennessee 27-3. They've beat the Giants 20-7, and they've beaten Green Bay 13-7. So they're averaging 12 points a week of offense. What the hell's going on here, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, they lost their mojo. I mean, it's interesting because the last 3 or 4 years, it seems like the losing team from the Super Bowl has trouble bouncing back the following year.
Yeah.
You could trace it back to the Rams, Pats. The Eagles haven't been the same since they won theirs. Oh, they won theirs, but the Rams haven't been the same. The Falcons weren't the same after they blew theirs. The Rams weren't the same. The Chiefs haven't been the same. It seems like the Niners haven't been the same since they lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs.
It's true.
It seems like, and in all of those cases, every single one of those cases, the team who lost the Super Bowl was in a period of time where they were expected to be really good for several years straight. Like that Niner team was thought to just be getting to being really good. The Rams team was supposed to be a dynasty under McVay. And obviously the Chiefs team last year was off a championship and supposed to be winning, 10 titles in the next 11 years.
It's true.
I think Mahomes lost a little of his invincibility.
Yeah.
I think Andy Reid got a little complacent. Andy Reid didn't always have the greatest track record, and then he became the Chiefs coach, and it was like he walked on water and he could do no wrong. And Mahomes' greatness, I think, helped that. But they have flaws, the Chiefs. They have flaws. They don't protect great. They don't have a great running game. They put a lot on Mahomes' shoulders, and he hasn't been as good. And his ceiling, I mean, his standard is so high.
Yeah.
He's still really good, but he did drop off a peg this year. He's gotten a little beat up. And I think more than anything, it's almost like the Alabama syndrome. Like if you can beat them, you can like take away that layer of invincibility. I feel like the Chiefs, nobody is scared of them anymore.
No, not at all.
And everybody was panicked to face them. It felt like, they won 14 games and you just couldn't beat them. And if they had the ball at the end, they were going to beat you. And like, you just couldn't beat them. Like Mahomes is going to put up 50, whatever it takes. And now you don't see that. I still think the book isn't over. I'm not giving up on them, but they're not invincible. They're certainly very beatable at this point.
We still have half a season, and it is still Patrick Mahomes, and he does still have his receivers and everything. So you don't know what's going to happen, but I'd say up until this point, it's been a huge disappointment, and probably one of the biggest surprises in the NFL this season. So interesting.
Totally agree.
Question number 2. Was this the week of the washed up running back? We had touchdowns scored by Le'Veon Bell and Adrian Peterson.
Le'Veon Bell sucks. Can I just say that? He's still, and Adrian Peterson did, and I didn't know you were going to bring him up, but I can distinctly recall from 5 days ago, he had 10 carries for 21 yards. So
he actually had 11 carries for 20, and that wasn't the point. It was just that they each scored a touchdown, which I don't think anybody saw coming.
True, they did. So somebody will pick them up on fantasy because they scored like 9 points this past week.
I think Le'Veon Bell averaged 4 yards a carry. So that's
L Bell.
All right, question number three, and it's kind of 3 parts. What do we make of the Titans? They lose Derrick Henry, and then they come out and they pretty easily beat the LA Rams. Then you've got the Bills, who are, my Super Bowl pick, they lose to the excellent Jaguars 9-6. They don't even score a touchdown. And then the Cowboys, who are just getting demolished, end up losing 30-16 versus Denver. I can't make heads and tails of what's going on. You've got the Titans in 1 week they lose to the Jets, and then they come back without their running back and they beat arguably, the best team in football, maybe. And then you've got the Bills and the Cowboys, who are both good teams and have both lost to bad teams and bad losses too.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the NFL is just screwy. How the Cowboys without Dak go to Minnesota, beat a pretty decent Viking team with Brandon Rush or whatever his name is, and then come home, get Dak back, and basically get shut out for the whole game. That score was very misleading. They were down 27-0 deep into the fourth quarter. They scored the epitome of why we call it garbage time touchdowns. So they got destroyed to Denver. But I think sometimes you got to throw a game as an outlier, right? Like when you look at a team that feels like an outlier, and the Cowboys will have a chance to prove that, but maybe it's the sign of a break in the armor. I think, you have to kind of now see how they bounce back. I'm going to throw the Bills as an outlier too, just because it's hard to fathom losing to the Jaguars 9-6, but I think every year there's a few moments, where you scratch your head at some of the outcomes, right? Why did the Jets beat the Titans and Bengals? They suck. They still managed to play 2 really good games. It happens. It's still professional athletes who can surprise. And it just proves the parity in the NFL is such that if you have an off day, there's enough talent around the league, even in the worst teams, where you can win, unless you're in Detroit.
Yeah, that's
where
true.
They're embarrassment to the city, the state, all the people of Detroit,
the country. Yeah. No, I hear you. It's just it just goes to show you that truly anybody could beat anybody on any given day, which is crazy. It's crazy to think about because nobody saw that. What was the spread in that game anyway? It was like Bills by 15.
Yeah, Bills by 15, and the Cowboys were healthy favorites over Denver.
Yeah.
And Denver could have covered a 30-point spread the way the game was going.
I
mean, that was the one, the Bills and Broncos. I mean, the Bills and Cowboys really laid eggs. They did.
Yeah. They were tough games. Question number 4. We had the much anticipated, I know you love this guy, debut of Jordan Love. Jordan loves to play football. He was 19 of 34, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, the QB rating of 69.5. How does Aaron Rodgers feel about his situation after that performance?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was probably resting on his couch with his mild symptoms of COVID and after being lambasted all week by the media and everyone, probably going, let's see, what am I good for, a 14-point swing in that game if I play? I mean, think about that, right? If Aaron Rodgers plays in that game, and maybe Kansas City's blueprint changes, they know they need to score more and they take more chances, because I think they felt very quickly like Love wasn't going to lead the Packers to any scoring. So the game could have been different. True. But it feels like the Packers would have went to KC and won that game with Rodgers. And Vegas, as much said, he's worth 7 points. That's a lot. Only Mahomes and him are worth 7 points to a team, I think.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible when you think about it. But I think Aaron Rodgers is just looking at his offer go up and up and up. That's all that it is.
He's going to get as much as a team can give him. And I'll make an early prediction right now. And we'll see if this holds true. And we'll go back a year from now or 6 months from now. I think when it's all said and done, Aaron Rodgers dons a new jersey. And that jersey is yellowish and black. And he will be a Steeler. That's my prediction.
It's not a bad call.
Exit Big Ben, enter Aaron.
Aaron. That's not a bad call. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I like that. I like that call. I'm going to remember this day in history.
Thank you.
Question number 5, Henry Ruggs. You're in Las Vegas. Okay, I understand you're okay. So you're twice the legal limit for alcohol. Okay, fine. So then you make the bad decision to get in a car. Then you make the bad decision to drive 156 miles an hour. But explain to me this, right? How is it, and this keeps happening, how is it these reckless people, I think when he hit her, he was driving 125 miles an hour in a Corvette, right? How is it that she and her poor little dog died, the person that he hit, but he walks out of the car? He walks out of the accident. His girlfriend walks out of the accident. I mean, it's such a horrible tragedy, but man, Corvettes must be built really well.
Isn't that how it always happens? Not always, and it's a tragedy.
It
It's so
seems
sad.
like it,
But
it's
it seems
terrible.
like the drunk person who gets into the fiery crash is fine, and it's the poor innocent bystander that suffers. I mean, listen, he'll never be the same again either. Like, you take someone's life inadvertently, of course, but very negligently. But his career in the NFL is over. He's going to jail for
a while.
I don't know, a while.
Yeah.
Probably a while. So sad. Sad
and
story.
it's funny because it's something that I've said to my daughters, and listen, they're both good girls, and I know you've got good kids too, but I always let them know, it's a situation like this. It's one bad decision. Your life is potentially one bad decision from just being completely changed forever. This is a guy that was on top of the world.
Yep.
And now he's gone from, top of the world to the bottom. I mean, he's going to be sued. He's going to go to prison. He's going to be left with nothing. And you know what? That's all it takes. It's just one bad decision. So,
yeah.
So I feel bad for him in the sense that he made a bad decision, a really bad decision. But hey, you know what? You make that decision, you got to live with the consequences. So anyway, game ball of the week. I got 3 people, and we'll see what you say. Quarterback. This guy did not even start on Sunday. That's how good of a game he had. I'm sorry, on Thursday. The Jets, Josh Johnson. I know that he lost 30-45 versus the Colts, but this is a guy that's played for, I don't know, every NFL team and just basically never gets to play. The guy is just not any good. I mean, they panicked. The Jets had Mike White and Josh Johnson, so they panicked. They went and got Joe Flacco. Looks like they don't need Joe Flacco. But he was 27 for 41, 317 yards and 3 touchdowns. Heck of a performance coming off the bench for an injured quarterback. Running back, Jonathan Taylor, 19 carries, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a long run of 78 yards in a 45-30 win over the New York Jets. And then I throw in a little wrinkle. We've got a defensive end. And I'm still upset that the Jets didn't draft this guy because I knew he was going to be great. Josh Allen of the, what does he play for? Jacksonville Jaguars. He had 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception, and a 9-6 win over the Bills. But most importantly, he's the first player in the history of the NFL to sack somebody that had the same name as he has.
It's pretty cool. I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with him simply because they pulled the upset off. They beat the Bills, held them to 6 points.
Yeah.
I think that's worthy of a game ball.
I mean, from what I understand, the guy was all over the field. He was just terrorizing
his namesake.
That's right. Josh Allen is looking at, and the funny thing is they look alike too. So I mean, you can't even tell the 2 guys apart. It's crazy. All right. So Josh Allen, congratulations. You have received Phil's game ball for the week. Now, my favorite time of the show. No pressure at all. Remember, 19-12-1, 8-2 in lock. So everybody out there, you need to pay attention, especially to the locks, because I'm thinking Phil Calise is going to hit this one out of the park. Phil, you're up, my man. Let's hear what you got for the week.
So I probably have put a little bit more thought into these games than I have typically each week. And by a little bit more thought, 20 minutes instead of 10 minutes. Okay. But I'm in a position where I don't like to overthink, right? It's like, ever see like the person who walks in to get a holiday card or a birthday card or a Christmas card or whatever card, and like there's the one guy who walks in and he like sees one and picks it and leaves. The other guy looks at 43 of them, is there for a half hour, still comes back to the first one he grabbed and takes it.
Yep.
Like I don't like to overthink it because I think I'll go back anyway. So I might have overthought this a little, so I'm a little bit nervous, but not for my lock. My lock, I feel like I'm honed in and I feel good. So we'll save that for last.
Okay.
We'll start with a game that maybe seems like it's a super close game, but I have a feeling this game isn't as close as the spread is. I'm going to Foxborough for the first game. Cleveland goes to Foxborough. New England is laying 2.5. Here's the thing about this game. I know Cleveland showed up and played great against Cincinnati, and they did it, an awesome job. And Nick Chubb dominated that game. Nick Chubb got COVID this week. Kareem Hunt is out. I like the way Belichick schemes, and I think he's going to have a good scheme for Baker Mayfield. And if you can make Cleveland one-dimensional, Baker Mayfield becomes really bad if he's got to sit back and throw 50 times. Sure. I think Chubb and Hunt is a great combo to keep Mayfield, keep that offense balanced. I don't know if they're going to have the proper balance to go to New England and win. Mm-hmm. And you only have to win by a field goal to cover. So my first game is going to be Pats laying 2.5.
Okay.
My next game is actually going to your boys, your Tampa Toms, and going to the Bucks. Here's the thing: the Bucks and Washington are coming off a bye, which is unusual. Teams square off both off a bye.
It's true.
I looked at the weather to make sure Mr. Tom's got decent weather to play in Washington, and it's calling for 52 degrees and fairly sunny.
Okay.
I think that's good enough weather. I think the Bucks are getting healthy. They were banged up. They're getting healthy. Washington's got a decent defense. They got no offense. I feel like Tampa Tom puts a hurting, and this was almost my lock, puts a hurting on Washington. And I think this is an easy cover at 9.5. My next game, and I'm really kind of all over the map here because there's a bunch of games I kind of thought about and then backed away from.
Yep.
I'm going to stay on the theme. I just don't like the Eagles. I'm trying to not get too hyped up about what the Broncos did to the Cowboys because I know that could be an outlier. It certainly could be. Matter of fact, Vegas is begging you to take the Broncos. Why are the Broncos only 2.5 points favored over a 3-6 Eagle team? Especially off of the fact the Broncos just mauled the Cowboys. And they're home in Mile High where they're tough to beat. So it scares me because it feels like Vegas wants me to go the other way, but I'm taking Denver laying 2.5. I just don't like the Eagles. So then I'm going to go, and I got to put an asterisk next to this game. So you're going to have to bear with me. But I love Aaron Rodgers if he's actually playing in this game after this whole week of crap. Laying 3 over Seattle and Lambeau. But I don't know if he's playing yet. So I'm putting the asterisk down. If the COVID stuff, if he doesn't clear protocol to play, then I don't count that. I wouldn't pick this game. I'm not taking Jordan Love laying 3 points, obviously. I'm only taking Aaron Rodgers if he's in the game. So I'm going to reserve. If Aaron Rodgers plays, this game counts against my picks. If he doesn't, then we're just going to kind of cancel it out. I wouldn't make the bet. So
Fair enough.
Packers
Fair enough.
-3. I think Rodgers is seething about how much crap he's taken, and he's going to light up Jamal Adams and that uber crap defense on the Seahawks. And then, so what is that? How many games have I taken?
That's 4, man. We need the lock.
All right. So here's the lock. The lock is I'm just betting against the Panthers, guys. The Panthers stink. Darnold's out. PJ Walker, the power forward, is the new starting quarterback. Kyler Murray's back. I feel like they put up a good amount of points on the Panthers. I don't think the Panthers are going to score much at all. And so, laying 10's a lot, but I'm going to lay the 10, take the Cards, and just kind of lock that game up because I think the Panthers go now deep into the south column of a bunch of losses, helping the Jets' 2nd and 4th round picks move up. So that's my lock. I got the Cards.
There you go, man. So you heard it here first. New England, Bucks, Broncos, Green Bay, and Arizona with the lock. So if you want to make some money, follow the man like I do. I am up so much money. You would not even believe it. I'm not going to say it because it's kind of embarrassing. College football. And I we'll get into this a little bit. I don't want you ranting too much, but the nice thing was last week we actually had 2 undefeated teams fall. Michigan State lost to Purdue, who was officially beaten their 2nd top 5 team of the season. And Wake Forest lost a nail biter 58-55 versus UNC. These guys are probably going to play in the Big 12 next year. So, when you look at the other top rated games, I look at all close games. Bama beat LSU by 4 points. Ohio State beat a Nebraska team by 9. Cincinnati only beat Tulsa by 8. Oregon beat Washington by 10 points. It was just an ugly week, except for number 1 team Georgia, who beat Missouri 43-6, of course. But when we look at our rankings this week, and this is kind of what I want your feedback on, we've got UGA, of course, number 1. We've got Alabama number 2, Oregon number 3, and we've got Ohio State number 4. Well, that leaves your undefeated Cincinnati at number 5 and your undefeated Oklahoma at number 8. How do you feel about these rankings, and what's going through the committee's minds when they're making these picks? Something doesn't seem right here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to get into too much of a rant, and it is only the second week of playoff rankings, and these generally work themselves out. There's some head-to-head matchups to come, and so I don't think getting too caught up in it. It's mostly a made-for-TV show to get people riled up. But, I mean, it's obviously there's a lack of consistency in the thought process, right? So Oregon stays ranked ahead of Ohio State, and of course they should be. They beat them head-to-head. But by the same just basic logic, Michigan is somehow a spot ahead of Michigan State. And oh, by the way, on Halloween, Michigan State beat them. Same record, similar common opponents. It makes absolutely no sense. But I guess if I was really looking at what makes no sense, Oklahoma, for all the flaws they have, and I'm as big a critic of Oklahoma being overrated every year, they're undefeated, ranked, 8th?
Yeah.
And Ohio State, who's beaten no one, literally beaten no one of consequence, and has a loss in their only tough game at home to a team that was missing possibly the number 1 pick in the draft, Oregon's defensive end, it has a loss and is 4 spots ahead of Oklahoma, which means Ohio State, without any credible wins, is already a playoff team with a loss in the committee's mind over other Power 5 teams that are undefeated.
Yeah.
That's maddening. That's absolutely maddening. So the only thing I could take away is that the brand name recognition of certain schools clearly plays way too big a part in the assessment of these rankings.
Yep.
Michigan shouldn't be ahead of Michigan State. Ohio State has no business being anywhere near the top 4 right now. Not to say they won't win out and actually get some good quality wins, but they don't have them yet.
That's right.
So they're 4th now. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Like, there's nothing else you could say. And if you're Cincinnati and you can't be of Ohio State today, if you're not ahead of Ohio State today, you can't, no matter what they do. And I know they haven't looked good, but there's nothing they could do. They could beat everybody by 60. They can never get ahead of Ohio State. So if the top 4 win out, which is possible, I know Georgia and Alabama have a date with each other coming up, but Alabama could beat Georgia and they'll both be in. And if that's the case, Oregon and Ohio State, if that all holds, which it probably won't, and it never does, that's your top 4 and nobody can touch them.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. It's dumb, but
listen, I don't disagree. You know what? I think this week, though, at least there's a chance that a couple of these wrongs can be righted. You've got Purdue traveling to Ohio State. They've already beat 2 top 5 teams. Who's to say that they can't beat another one? You never know.
It's asking a lot, but I hear you.
It is. And then you've got probably the game of the week, which is an undefeated Oklahoma heading to number 12 Baylor. Mm-hmm. So another great shot for Oklahoma to, you know what? Listen, when it comes down to, even if they win at Baylor, I don't know if they're going to leapfrog any teams ahead of them.
Yeah, when it's all said and done, if Oklahoma goes undefeated, they'll be in the top 4.
Well, they should be. They should be. But beating number 12 should leapfrog them above, Michigan State and Michigan. I mean, why are those 2 teams ahead of them?
By the way, you didn't get to it, but if I was picking the most likely team to win and knock somebody out, and it's deserving off of the stupid ranking, it's Michigan losing in Happy Valley this week to Penn State. I don't think Michigan's really that good. I think that's your best chance. I think there's some good chances this week for an upset. That to me is the best one. I think Vegas even has the game almost a pick 'em game, by the way.
No kidding. I'm not a Penn State fan. I don't know if they have it, but
I'm only saying it more down on, like, Michigan's very one-dimensional.
They are.
They're just not that good, and I don't trust Harbaugh in these games, so that's why I'm saying it.
Well, listen, Michigan's not going to beat Ohio State at the end of the season anyway, so it doesn't even make a difference. They never do.
And this is the most vulnerable Ohio State's been, so they better if they're ever gonna.
Oh yeah, I mean, Ohio State. This is not even one of their better teams, and they're still ranked number 4. I mean, somebody's got to explain.
They never listen. Ohio State. Remember, we joked about it, but Ohio State played like 5 games last year, and the committee put them in. It doesn't matter what Ohio State does. I don't know who's on that committee and who
they're all Ohio State grads. Yeah.
There's just an affinity to Ohio State, man.
There must be. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Did you know that college basketball started?
How I knew is my son, who knows all things sports these days, he should be on the podcast, goes, Dad, I think Kentucky's playing Duke tonight. So that's how I knew.
Well, yes, Kentucky did play Duke, which I thought was really interesting. You know, the thing that I hate about the beginning of the season is you normally have such cupcake games, and you know, you and I have talked about that, and it's not just football, it's basketball too. It was nice seeing Duke versus Kentucky. It was played at Madison Square Garden. They actually went to overtime, and Duke was ranked 9, Kentucky was ranked 10, and they pulled it out. They beat them, which was great. But you know, they actually have 2 5-star freshmen. Actually, they have 3 5-star freshmen. 2 of them combined for 47 points. I mean,
this is Coach K's grand farewell, right?
This is his final season, man. Is it? Are you thinking, you know what? Maybe he should stay longer. Or are you thinking, wow, this is about time. Let's get rid of this guy.
What I really think, and I don't want to put my Duke bias on, I don't like Duke. And Duke is usually like Notre Dame, a team you love or hate, right? They usually stir up feelings either way. So I get it. But I don't like when coaches take this victory lap tour. I hate it. Like, so now it's all Coach K all year. So he'll say it's not about him. He literally made it about him.
It's all about him. It's all about him.
Like, when it's totally about him, which annoys me. It just does.
He's going to be celebrated wherever he goes, and people are going to be giving him gifts and this and that. Yeah. I've never been a fan of the farewell tour either. You know what? Just announce your retirement when you're retiring. You know, the season's over, announce it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it takes too much time away from everything else. You know, the focus is all about him
now. Nothing the kids do matter. It's all about him. I just hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, but what I did was
they're good. They're very good. They'll probably be a dangerous team this year more than the last couple.
They're a good team, and it's not because they have a lot of upperclassmen. They're like Kentucky. They reload. They're just better. It was interesting because what I did was I kind of pulled the top 4 biggest spreads of the night, and you had University of Tennessee versus University of Tennessee Martin. I know that's a huge matchup, and Tennessee was favored by 35, and they covered, of course. Central Connecticut traveled across the state to University of Connecticut, and the spread was 34, and University of Connecticut covered also. And then this was probably the match. This is not the matchup of the week. This was a good one. Houston Baptist went upstate to visit the Texas Longhorns. Spread was 37.5. And yes, Texas did cover. Then you've got the number 1 team in the country, Gonzaga. And who do they host at home? The powerful Dixie State Dixers.
The Dixie Cups?
The Dixie State Dixer Cups. Yes, Dixie Cups. And the spread was 40, and they did not cover. But I wanted to tell you something about Gonzaga, and I don't know if you knew this. They're preseason number 1. They're expected to win the whole thing. Did you know that they were able to get the top recruit this season?
I mean, I didn't know that. What I do know is they've just become an incredible program, right? Obviously, they're consistent. They lost in the title game last year, but they do need to win one now. Because now they're not just like now they're seeing what the other half looks like in terms of the highest of high expectations. And like a 1 seed in the tournament is something they have to get. Yep. And now they have to win it all, right? Like they made the Final Four, they made the title game. If they don't win it all, that coach, it at some point now it becomes a failure. Even though it's hard to say that out loud because they became from nothing to a glamour top 10 program every year, but still they got to win one.
They've been good. Their number 1 recruit, who's potentially the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, his name is Chet Holman, right? He's 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And he weighs 190 pounds.
I mean,
okay.
Listen.
All right.
Do they still have the guy with the mustache on the team?
that was you're talking about the guy with the goatee.
I mean, whatever.
I
the guy from last year.
I'm not talking about Adam Morrison.
No. I'm not talking about 20 years ago.
Adam Morrison, it's funny that he's got 2 NBA rings, just putting it out there. They do. Drew Timm is still on their team, 6'10" power forward. Yeah, he's a nice player, but this other guy, Chet Holmgren, he actually plays center. I mean, how can this guy not get eat up at 7 foot, 190 pounds in the NBA?
He's gonna be sitting at the 3-point line, probably.
I mean, I don't know.
Probably shooting. He's just raining trays over the top of 6'5" forwards.
I've seen highlights of him playing in high school, but I mean, come on, he's a guy 7 feet tall. You can't really judge that. So I want to watch a few of their games so I can see what he actually does against competition like Dixie State.
But the truth of the matter too with Gonzaga, and they make sure their out of conference schedules loaded, and they do the best they can, but they still are negatively impacted, in my opinion, by the lack of competition they play in conference.
Yeah, it's true.
And so when they do get to the tournament, they still haven't played in a long time the top teams. So I feel like that still works against them a little bit.
No, listen, you're right. But listen, we'll see. I mean, hopefully it's a good season. I mean, it's the top 10 is all the same teams, Gonzaga, UCLA, Kansas, Villanova, Texas, Michigan, Purdue, Baylor, Duke, Kentucky. It's all the same teams. I mean, year in, year out, it's you might have a couple that
it's a little better
here
than
and there.
Football. It's a little better.
It's a little bit better, but for the most part, I mean, it's a lot of the same teams are in there, which is kind of crazy. So, I wanted to ask you something else that I thought was pretty interesting, and that is Shaq came out and said something. It's always fun when he says something, and basically what he said was to his kids. He goes, "I want you guys to understand something. You're not rich. I'm rich. If you want me to invest in something, I expect you to present me with a business plan, and then I will approve it or disapprove it based on what your plan is."
I like it. Shaq trying to instill a little bit of work ethic. And
it's crazy, right?
Listen, do you imagine how those kids grew up, right? I mean, he's made so much money. So by extension, they've lived very luxurious lives just because they're in his house.
Of course.
So he's trying as grown-ups, he's trying to maybe break the entitlement out of them, which isn't easy.
But it's still kind of nice, it's, hey, you know what? You've got this bank that can help fund your projects, which is nice. But I thought that was
running
cool.
his own Shaq tank at home.
I thought that was
he's running the Shaq
cool.
tank.
Another quote: Scotty Pippen mentioned that Jordan would not have been a superstar if not for him. What do you think about that?
Scotty Pippen has got this inferiority complex.
I know he does.
It's annoying. It really is. He's an awesome player, and maybe he should say something like Jordan wouldn't have won titles without him. But dude, stop. Just stop. You're really good. You were named one of the 50 greatest NBA players of all time. Why do you have such an inferiority complex?
I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what his issue is, but
he's got a funky nose, man.
He does look like he was a boxer, but I don't know. Last question for you: DeShaun Watson, Henry Ruggs, Dalvin Cook, who was just allegedly, I think, raped somebody.
Oh,
OBJ,
really?
Yeah, just came out yesterday. OBJ, DeSean Jackson, Damon Arnette, who was a cornerback for the Raiders, who was a first-round pick in 2020, just got cut last week because they found videos of him making death threats with firearms. Aaron Rodgers, CeeDee Lamb just got fined for an untucked jersey.
That puts that in perspective.
It's so ridiculous.
Why are you putting them in the same sentence?
It's just because why does the NFL have so much controversy? It seems like week to week there's just something crazy going on. I mean, do these guys not realize A, they're targets, B, they're just humans. They're not better or worse than anybody else. They're the same, and C, they're not infallible. They're not perfect. They can't just live forever because they're celebrities. I mean, don't these guys understand that when it comes to making some decisions?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think in some regards because there's so much notoriety around the NFL, you just forget they're just younger men with money. And if you looked at any pool of younger men with money in any profession, there's a percentage of them that do really stupid things because of the money. And then now you add the fame, right? So there's young people with money but don't have any fame, so you don't know they exist. These people, you know everything they do. Social media heightens it, what have you. And I think there's a lot of people that still run in the wrong circles or have too many people hanging on that aren't good influences. And a percentage of them make mistakes. I will say, with how much spotlight is on them, and I'm talking about all the major sports and media and social media,
Yeah,
I actually think probably less bad stuff happens today than it did 10 or 15 years ago. I feel like a lot of these guys isolate now and know how much they can get into. There's always outliers, right? Like Henry Ruggs is speeding 160 miles an hour drunk. Like
yeah.
that dude was going to get in trouble. That was just a ticking time bomb. The fact that he did stuff like that. You know,
I mean,
DeShaun Watson, I mean, like that's a ticking time bomb too. You
it
harass
really is.
enough masseuses, you're going to eventually get in trouble. So,
You know, the thing that I don't get. I mean, do you think that there's something that the NFL could do? You know, like in the case of DeShaun Watson, I mean, we can point out that one specifically. You know, this potentially allegedly was going on for a long time. You can't tell me that nobody knew about it. You know, there could have been. You know, I that's what I don't understand. What can be done about something like
well,
this?
how about this? Since you brought him up, just off the top of my head, why has this not been investigated and the NFL's done something yet? Like I heard the other day when there was the rumors Watson was going to be traded and it looked serious, that the NFL was saying they don't have a verdict, like they don't have their internal investigation is still ongoing. This has been going on for 6 months. The NFL employs some of the most highest ranked former FBI agents and all the rest of it. They can't ascertain if this is real or not by now.
Well, not only you got here's something that you got to remember, and this is
it fake or real, NFL? And if it's real, then hit him with a year suspension or whatever.
You know
and
what?
If it's not, then clear his name.
NFL's not taking it seriously. That's the problem. You know, from what I heard last time, he's actually trying to settle with these 22 women. If this settlement goes through, then guess what? I mean, he's back on the field. You know, well, I think it's because he's such a great player that the NFL is looking the other way, which I can't even believe that they do.
I don't know if it's that. I think it's they know the Texans aren't playing him, and it was a whole other controversy before that, so they bought them so much time. Like they've told them they're not going to play him. They don't even activate him for games, so they feel like they can. That's why I think they panicked a little when he was about to get traded, and then that trade didn't go through, and I think it helped the NFL. But I don't know what they're waiting for. It's crazy.
I don't
the dude lost the whole season of his career.
Yeah, well, that's again. You know what? That's repercussions. You know,
live with
you
your
make
choices.
bad decisions. Great episode as always. I just wanted to remind everybody: tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family, tell people you love, tell people you hate. Let them know, hey, Phil and the mic is the way to go. Get excited, Darrin. Myself, I've become the new face of Pilates. You will be seeing my testimonial soon on Facebook, on Instagram, and I didn't want to say it, but chances are it's going viral.
Absolutely.
So enjoy the weekend, everybody. Have a great time watching the games. Hope you make some money with Phil's picks, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Take care.